The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello, I'm Carl Seidel, host of The People's View, sponsored by the Nashua City Republican Committee. And if you want, we meet at the Crown Plaza the second Thursday of every month. And if you want to find out more information, you can go to our website at nashuagop.org.
Welcome to The People's View.
Hello, and help me welcome Sandra Ziehm. Sandra, thanks for coming on. And
always a pleasure.
You're running for
County Commissioner, Hillsborough County, yes.
And you're doing the Borough Board of Education too, and you're an activist in a lot of things. And,
it's
we're
funny.
Happy to have you.
Oh, thank you. The funny thing is that I've been 12 years pretty much involved. This is my 12th year on. Next year I'll have to run again for school board. And so I've been going into 12 years on the school board. On the County Commission, I've only been 6 years. This is my 6th year. So if I got this one, it would be 8. But only now, I'm chair now of both boards. When you would think that when I first started, I would have done that. But truthfully, I really didn't want leadership. All I wanted to do was have a vote and a voice. See, I have this thing that we all have the same vote, the same voice. We're all equal players on the stage. And in our differences, we bring analysis. We bring, so we're able to dissect the issues, if you will, and hopefully come to the best choices for the people. And at county, I have to say, we finally, well, of course, you're on county, so you know some of these details. But that building, there's a commercial building that county owns that has been empty. They tell me 30, 40 years. Gosh knows how long it's been empty. And as a realtor, that makes me crazy. And so my whole goal for the county commissioner was to get that resolved, to get it so that we could market it competitively. And so we did, the first 2 or 3 years, we changed the law so that we didn't have to bid it. The bidding system is obsolete for real estate. You cannot, I mean, like once every 3 months, they put it on a website and they put a little sign in front of the building, and that was marketing. No wonder it's been 30 years. And so we got that, we did away with that. The legislators changed that for us. And now we can actually, we still have to bid it, RFP, but we bid it with the realtor community. So we sent out a letter that said, if you're interested in marketing this property, here's the forms, please compete. And we had 2 companies, which was disappointing, was only 2. But one was Carl Norwood, and I don't know if you know Carl Norwood. My very first job in real estate was working for Carl Norwood. In all the real estate industry, I would have to say to you, he is a gentleman. He is, he's just, his word is his bond. His integrity is known throughout the state. And he is a leader. And on the particular corridor where our building is, which of course is Mass Road in Goffstown, he does a lot of the transactions on that road, which also makes him uniquely appropriate for handling that. So we have competitively bidded, and he is the realtor we're going to put it with. Now this budget season, we had to get. He wanted us to go in and put the walls. The building is actually not even walls inside, no floors, no, the space is not divided. So he wanted us to go in and just put walls, not dividers, not sized rooms, if you will, but just the ceiling, the floor, the things that you would have to do regardless of who used it or how it was used. And so we got money put in the budget, $500,000. That was a fight.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Well, Neil Kirk, of course, very conservative and very discerning with the taxpayers' dollar, in my view. He's always a hard sell. But he said to me, well, what if we can't rent it, Sandra? And I said, it's not whether we can rent it, it's how much can we get. If you put it on for $15 a square and it won't go, then you try 14 and then you try 13 until you get to where somebody will pay something for it. Because it's all about what the market will bear. Right. And I think when I said he's a smart guy, so I think he got that. And I think he was one of the, but Dick Hinch also, Dick is in real estate himself. And I have to say, he understands real estate, and I think he has been a critical help. He's been very involved with the process, and so I'm absolutely elated that possibly in the next year we might actually get that building occupied.
Oh,
We might
let's
actually
hope.
get some money for it.
Well, you're going to have to do that because pretty soon you lose that women's prison income.
Yeah, and yes, and and it will be interesting what happens to that building because Carl has. I've had a couple of real estate people
Right.
that have given me their opinions. Carl certainly is one, and several people have said to me they think that is marketable, that it wouldn't be used as a prison probably, but that it could be. Basically, it would be somebody who would buy the space and convert it into something else, and I'm sure there'd be big dollars spent making the building into what it needs to be to do what they want to do, whatever that happens to be.
Well, you know, I was up at the new prison that they are building for women up there, and it's really moving along quite nice. I don't know if you've seen
I
it.
haven't. I'd love to go. I
well.
really would love to go. I have to tell you, the county, I had no idea when I was elected as county commissioner. I can tell you that I had absolutely no idea how involved it gets. But on everything that we oversee, for instance, on the nursing home, of course, you've had the issue of the managed care and changing. They're trying to slim it down and make it more cost effective. Is that what I want to say?
Yeah.
And truthfully, my concern with that is, in making it cost effective, are they going to take some of the quality? Because our nursing home is 5-star.
Yeah.
Our nursing home, and I think the proof of how good our nursing home is that the people who work in that nursing home and who work for county, they all put their family members in that nursing home, which tells me they know it better than anybody else, and they know it's better than anybody else. And so our facility is not the most luxurious, and we are working on that. We actually set aside $500,000 this year to try to make it more competitive as far as the feeling. Some of our rooms, we have 4 people in one room, and it's too small, so we're trying to enlarge some of those areas and make it a little more elaborate, because it's very plain right now. But the quality of our care is where we excel, and we go into the. It was interesting. Again, Neil Kirk. Cost effective is his middle name, I think.
And that area is his favorite thing to work on.
And I have to say, I think that he made some good judgments for the county. Judgments, for instance, they went into people who need rehabilitative services. That's where you make money, and we weren't doing that. And with Neil's encouragement, we went into that, and of course, we are making money. In fact, we are the only nursing home in the state, county nursing home that is, that breaks even. When I say break even, the taxpayers are not subsidizing.
Right.
The federal government is subsidizing, and to some extent you have to say that's taxpayers. But locally we're not subsidizing. And so all of the other counties are being subsidized from the federal dollar as well as from the county tax dollar. So we are very proud that we are the only, but then the thing that helps us is that we have a mix. We're not all Medicaid. You don't make much money, you don't make much money on Medicaid. But on Medicare and on private, you make money. And then, of course, on this rehabilitative, you make money. So through those other means, we are able to supplement the Medicaid and even supplement our budget for other purposes from the nursing home. So we're very proud of the nursing home.
Well, I brought that up because one of the things we talked about on that tour is what's going to be done and how they're going to organize it for a transition back to being in the just general public after they get out of the prison. Okay, they're looking for transition type of organizations. They're not going to do it themselves, but they're looking for some things like they're talking about for mental health and other things, where counties are responsible for some part of the out of jail, I guess you might say, activities that they think will bring the people back into a more normal participation.
In the Valley Street Jail, which is the jail that Hillsborough County oversees, the 3 commissioners that I'm a part of overseas, we instituted a program this year, a substance abuse program, for the first for the first time. In my view, it was long overdue. We should have done that 20 years ago, and we might not be in the dire circumstances we're in now. But basically, my thinking, I voted for it, and the reason I voted for it was that, in my view, if you have a substance abuse problem, the sooner I get to you to try to change that mindset, the more likely I'm going to be able to change it.
Right.
And so we get, Valley Street is the interim, if you will. So we get the lesser serious criminals, is that what I want to say? I mean, there is no criminal that isn't serious, but they are lesser. They're not, for the most part, killing anybody or
No
raping
high
anybody.
felony
Yeah,
type of
it's less. So but we instituted this program. I think we hired 5 people, and 3 of them were counselors. Basically, they try to determine who has the drug problem, and then they try to bring them in, just like AA, similar thing, where they come in and they get counseling, where they try to, again, trying to change this mindset. And my concern, being on the Board of Education, is that I have been told that there are 3 avenues in the drug. One is the police. Obviously, we have to catch these people and stop them from selling drugs. And then one is medically treating them after we find this person who is addicted. We can't put them back out on the street. We need to turn them around. But then the third leg is the one that, in my view, is being neglected. And on the school board, I ask myself what my role is in it. How do I educate the public? How do I educate our legislators so that they understand that education? You will remember that when smoking was a big problem, it finally got to the point where we went on TV with it and educated what serious negative effects smoking has on your health. And now in this country, we've set that back quite a bit, I would suggest. And that's what we need to do with drugs. And in my view, it needs to start in the elementary school. It needs to start when our kids are young and still their minds aren't set. When they get to be middle school, pretty hard sometimes to talk to. I mean, and you certainly don't give up. You still keep trying. But it is one thing to try to change the mindset of a 6, 7, 8-year-old or a 12, 13, 14-year-old. Very big difference. And that's even in the schools, one of the things I've always said. If we're going to have all the kids reading on grade level, we need to get them reading on grade level before 3rd grade. After 3rd grade, it gets much harder. And again, we graduate, 43% of our school, our 2 high schools, graduate not reading on grade level. When they get to be the 12th grade, 11th grade, 10th grade, it's too late. You can't, and if you can't read, how can you learn? How can I teach you math if you can't read the problem? If you can't even read the problem, how can you hope to solve the problem? So I would like to see this education part of the drugs. I would very much, and I did hear Kelly Ayotte say that she was going to push for it. So,
well, I think that's a very important part of it. Way back in the 90s, it was, we had a drug problem. We recognized that. I got involved because I was working with a doctor at Peter Ben Brigham who was testing one of the products that we were making for measuring blood flow to the brain. And you could tell a cocaine habit or a crack habit by the difference of the blood flow. I mean, a crack habit showed that the brain was functioning like a person with Alzheimer's disease. So the blood was not going to certain places. They came out with a film showing the different levels of usage and what it did to the blood flow, because what they found when they were looking in the study to find a person who hadn't participated in drugs, they took one of the technicians and ran her and found out she had abnormalities. And she finally confessed that she was a social user at parties only. It's the only time she would use cocaine. And it shows the effect of it and how long it takes to recover from that.
I had a procedure you're talking about. It's interesting because I went to Brigham and Women's this week and had a procedure. And I went under anesthesia. When I was looking at the documents, I noticed that they put me under fentanyl. I wanted to say, what are you doing to me?
Yeah,
what are you doing to me? And it was interesting, though. I came out of it much faster than some of the other anesthesias that but going home, I couldn't, you can't drive, you're not supposed to make any decisions, you're not supposed to try to focus your thinking even until it completely wears off.
Right.
But it was interesting that this
Drug,
this substance that truly is a negative, I mean, they're saying that some of it is so strong that you need only take it one time and you could kill you or be totally addicted. One time. In the old days, that was not the case, but this fentanyl is, it's worrisome.
Good and bad properties on some of those drugs.
And young kids, how many of them are going to be strong enough not to try it once? And if they're unlucky enough that that one time is the time they get that dose, that's too much.
Each person's metabolism is different, which is the effect of the drug is different for everybody. It's like doing...
sad.
Yeah.
Very sad to see our young people and the deaths that we... But when I first got on the county as a county commissioner, I had no idea you got in as deeply as we do get into this stuff. Because like this drug issue, we spend a lot of time with, of course, the drug courts. You know, we have this wonderful drug court in Nashua, and Manchester is still struggling to get one. But this legislature this year, in fact, passed. You're probably very familiar because I'm sure one of your votes was in there.
Yeah.
So.
No, that was very necessary, and it's a follow-up with. Last night I was at the meeting of Harbor Homes, which is doing a wonderful job in coordinating a lot of the not-for-profit organizations, so they have a continuum of support.
Have you seen that hospital they have?
Oh, yeah.
It's a hospital for the homeless, and before I went over there, I said, well, how great can this be? Hospitals are pretty expensive. They have a state-of-the-art. I was very impressed. They even had he gave me a tour, and they even had 3 dental chairs. They can do all your dental work. And in fact, you can come in and do 3 different procedures in 3 different areas of your life, one dental, one heart, whatever.
Right.
And I was very, very impressed. And they can come in off the street and say, I have no money, but I have this problem, and it was pretty impressive.
And they have a couple of areas where they can keep people for a while in the after treatment to make sure that they stay out of their bad habits, which I think is good. And that's why I brought it up, because you thought of using your woman's prison for a transition period for people like that.
It's funny you say that, because the commercial building that I was talking about that's empty, it's ready right now. And we have a problem right now, not 2 years down the road, but now we need to... How many people will die in the interim if you don't do it now? And so I suggested that we use the building. In fact, several people have. I even think I heard Neil say it. Of course, he's pretty progressive, so I'm not trying to get him reelected. I'm trying to get me reelected. But it was interesting that building could be used for people to come in and be treated, even as a center like the fire stations and the police departments are doing now, where if you need Narcan, you can come in and get it with no questions asked. But the unfortunate part about that is I heard of a case where the man came in, he got the Narcan, he immediately left and went and got another drug and had another, another attack. So that's why I say some people get to a point where you cannot help them.
Right.
And so that's why I would like to see this education. I really think the education
No, I agree with you that that's where it
critical.
starts. You got to do it early, and that's why we had that film. And it's hard to get people to use that, because I talk to people now, and I don't think any of the middle schools, which we sent it to, sent thousands of copies of that film from the company that I worked for, DuPont, and they passed it out.
Did it come to Nashville?
Oh, yeah. And then, in fact, the person I talked to last night.
Can you get me
a copy
I
of
asked that? Well, of course, you know, we have a new superintendent, and so whenever you have a new leader, there's a transition, because she's having to wrap her arms around the whole district, and we have almost 13,000 kids. We have, 2,000 employees, 980 teachers. So it's wrapping your arms around our district is no 20-minute job. But so far, I'm impressed. So far, she's really, people skills are wonderful.
Do you have a responsibility for the what is it called, the group that educates both seniors and people who drop out of high school afterwards?
At risk?
Well, it's not at risk. It's over on Lake Street.
Oh, the You're talking, it's a Clearwater.
Oh,
Clearwater,
okay.
that's a private, but we pay, I think we have like 100 that we pay to send there. And we have it might be 50, but we have the biggest percentage of the students are from our district. And we pay them, and they are a nonprofit. They actually rent that from a nonprofit association, and they get a really good
Well, I'm
deal
thinking
on it.
that there's another part of the audience that you want to educate.
It's a wonderful school. I don't know if you've ever been there. I went over and took a tour. I was particularly impressed with the leader. She was, she said to me, see, I have this thing that with young people, you have to be firm, but you also have to be approachable. So you have to have that balance. The kids have to be able to talk to you, but when they talk, it has to be respectful. They have to know the boundaries. They cannot be calling you by your first name or using profanity. If there's that disrespect shown, you can't build a good foundation on a lack of respect, in my view. And she has that. I remember her saying to me, Sandra, they know the parameters. They know what I accept and what I won't. But they also know that I care about them, and I will do what I can to help them if they work with me. And when you go over there, these are at-risk kids, but those classes, you don't see kids running down the hall screaming and hollering and acting up. When you see a classroom,
Same thing as some of the charter schools, huh?
it's impressive. It's very impressive that they are totally in control. But this charter school, I have such mixed, now I'm a Republican and I'm supposed to be all on board with charter schools. And I do think that helping our advanced students is a good thing. But I also think that you cannot keep taking money from public school and give us all the difficult people and put all of the advanced kids over here. And so now all we have are the 2,000 special education, the 1,000 non-English speaking, the 43% poverty, the 500 homeless. And we're going to take care of all that, and yet part of our money now has to go to them. Plus, we never got the special education money we were supposed to get, and now this year.
Well, I think that's true, and I don't want to get into your Board of Education. We'll do that next year when you're running for that office.
I'd love
to. I think that brings out a quality in you that I think you have to sell yourself with. I mean, you have the ability to working with two factions and being able to listen to both and sometimes meld something out that both groups will accept. So I think that's what you ought to be pushing, because I think you've done a good job both on the county and on the Board of Education in getting, and you do have in both cases factions that are extreme on both sides.
Yes, we do have extreme.
I mean, I served on the executive council that one time. That was a fun time.
But you know now that, well, of course, our chairman now he's wonderful from Manchester. I have to say I have the greatest respect for him. And he, when we tried to get this program for substance abuse in the jail, he supported us, and he did it eloquently. And I was very grateful for that. Actually, well, you know, of course, we lost Commissioner Holden last year. She had, I think it was Hart that took her. They actually gave her a big award this year, and her husband Don came, and it was wonderful. But yes, we do have, and I have to tell you, I have become less partisan. I tell myself it should be more about issues than about party. I do identify with the Republican conservatism because we don't have the money. We cannot continue to, we can't have everything.
Well, we can't throw money at things. That's one of the, you want to have a program that justifies itself and has measurable, targets that you can determine whether it's doing what it intends to do. And too many things on the state level, and I assume you get the same problem on the county and the local Board of Education. You have some programs that you don't know whether they're working or not.
It takes forever. Again, that's what I was going to say. I'm 6 years into county. I'm just now starting to have mental health, as you mentioned. It's a very big part of county now. We're getting more and more involved. And so I'm trying to attend everything, but there's a lot, as you know. If you went to everything, you'd run the roads 24/7. So I try to pick and choose those that are most beneficial.
Right.
But to know the players even is a big part, because when you, and I will just give you this example. I recently, Cindy Rosenwald, prominent Democrat, for whom I have respect, I recently called her and asked her opinion on and I didn't know. She's not my party, so she might say, hey, why should I talk to you? You're my
she'll
competitor.
talk, yeah.
She was wonderful. She went out of her way. She talked to me 20 minutes anyway, and she gave, because of course you learn different things at the legislature than what I learn over here at county.
Yeah.
And so I was looking for this particular subject, managed care, kept coming up and up and up. And I thought, well, I wonder if those nucleus people, how they see this.
Mm-hmm.
And I called her, and she was absolute. That's why I say a little less partisan is a good thing. And so but knowing all those players, knowing who you can call and who will share with you and who is interested in the greater good. I have this thing about the greater good, and I shouldn't say this to you, but I asked one of the libertarians, I guess they call them free staters.
Well, it's
Are
sometimes
they
it's two separate things too.
Well, see, now I maybe didn't recognize that, but I said I had been going to some of their meetings, and I said, so you don't believe in public education? And this individual said to me, why should I pay for your child? And I said, so you don't believe in the greater good? You don't believe that as a community we interact one with another, and in that interacting we help each other? And this person pretty much said no. They didn't, and I do. See, I do believe, but only because I'm a product of
I don't think, again, even within that, description of a free stater, I think some of the free staters do believe in a greater good. But how do you implement it? And how do you measure that you're doing it right?
How do you do it fairly?
Yeah.
How do you do it? And what do you say yes to and what do you say no to? And that's the part that I don't know how to. I ask myself, how do you make, if something has to go, and you have 400 people, and everybody has their special interest,
right.
And that's what it is.
Oh,
Everybody has their special interest. So you're fighting for your special interest. I'm fighting for mine.
Well, one of the things, and I'm sure you work with it too on the county, is that you have to see what you can get for both to agree, because we have a number of different subcategories in the Republican Party. And the ones that are in the minority of that, while we listen to them, they have to understand that they might have to modify some of their approaches to be able to get it done, to get it through. And I think you'll see that.
Half of nothing is nothing.
That's right. I mean, you can go and get your principles and just standing on your soapbox with 5 people around you.
I tell myself, if I can start for the city, if I get my foot in the door, next year I'll push it a little further. And every year after a little bit further, and pretty soon, one of these days, I'll go across the finish line.
Sandra, we're running out of time. Is there any last things you'd like to say to the audience?
Please vote for me. I'm running for county commissioner,
right.
And I will do my very best to be the most conscientious, to make the decisions that are in the best interest of the greater good, because I do believe in greater good, yes.
And your contact information will be?
Well, of course, you can email me, Sandra at harmony-re.com. But if you go on the school board, if you go in the National School Board, our little emails are right there, and you can email me right from there. So, and that might be easier because nashua.edu is, and
right.
most people don't know.
Well, you'll get that, or you got one on the county, and you.
Well, most people don't even. The county seems to be below the radar, but the school board, in your face. We're on TV 2 or 3 times a week.
You're very economical, and I think I'd like to thank you for that.
I tried.
Managing that part, because it's very difficult.
But sometimes it goes to what you're saying about the compromises. If I get part of what I'm looking for, then I have to say to myself, there are 9 of you, and if you got part of what you wanted, then you'll have to wait till next year and try to get a little bit more.
Okay, good enough. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. It was wonderful, as always.
Thank you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.